When EG4 first dropped the FlexBOSS 21 late last year, it was a game changer in terms of what you get for the price and how simple a system like this can actually be to install and use. A lot of you guys in the comments though were asking for a bit of a smaller system. Maybe you didn't need the full FlexBOSS 21 capabilities, and EG4 listened and came back super quick with this all new FlexBOSS 18. But our real question for this guy is, does this thing exceed expectations, or was it a little bit redundant to make one so close to the original? So welcome back to the lab where our opinions cannot be bought. This right here is the smaller brother to the FlexBOSS 21. It's not far off of the capabilities that it has, but it's about $500 cheaper, and it's a little bit more suitable for someone who doesn't need all that power of the 21. It's better for like a residential home, maybe an off-grid cabin, something that's just a little bit of a smaller setup. But surprisingly to us, during our testing, we found out that this thing packs a little bit of a different punch than the 21 did. So before we get into anything else, as always, there's links and coupon codes that we have for this guy in the description down below, as well as information on this month's giveaway. Otherwise, we're gonna jump into a super quick spec teardown to get everybody up to speed on the new FlexBOSS 18. First up, this thing weighs 115 pounds. Tiny Baby claims it passes the lift test.
It does pass the lift test.
He's a little bit too vertically challenged to actually mount it up on the wall. Good news is we had health and safety here that day, and he was able to actually get it up onto the wall. So it is manageable with one person. This is a 10 kilowatt hybrid inverter. It's labeled on all the websites as 13 kilowatts, but it's only able to do 13 if solar is present. If you're ripping straight off the batteries, it's a 10 kilowatt inverter. It has two separate MPPTs inside with a total of 18 kilowatts of usable solar input, which is still a lot. You can parallel up to 10 of these guys to have a massive system of up to 130 kilowatts of output. The idle consumption on this guy, they claim it's about 60 watts. We saw about 80 watts in our testing. There's no screen with this guy, of course. It's just a nice simple unit. That's how they get the price down, but you can buy the additional screen for about $100. Works really well. It's the same as the 18K screen. And overall, the build is a little bit sleeker, a little bit smaller than the FlexBOSS 21 and something like the 18K PV. It's fully NEMA 4X weather rated, unless FedEx throws it at your front door and blows a hole in the top, in which case it's not. You have your little locking entry doors here on the side, so you can keep your nosy neighbor Tom out of your business. Behind the weather seal door and behind the little plastic panel that obviously comes here, everything is super simple and easy to understand and digest. All of the wiring terminals are very easy to access. They got big, thick lugs. It's not some of the other units that we've seen where like you literally have to strip wire to get it inside because it says use a gauge of wire that doesn't fit. Everything with this just makes perfect sense. You have your knockouts on the bottom and on the back, which makes it super easy to route your wires in a way where no one's gonna see them. You have your Wi-Fi dongle on the side, you have your battery communication, and like I said, everything in here is just super simple, easy to understand. Someone with no experience should be able to look at this and figure out how it wires up. As we mentioned already, it's a hybrid inverter, so it supports off-grid, hybrid, and grid sellback modes. It's meant to work with 48-volt batteries, and similar to the other FlexBOSS units, this has a 90 amp service pass-through. If you're trying to pass a full 200 amps through, you're gonna need to pair it with the GridBOSS, which makes a complete sense, to be honest. It makes this more affordable for off-gridders, and it makes the entire install process cheaper and better looking when you pair it with the GridBOSS. And the price right now of this guy is $3,649 on Signature Solar's website with our discount code. And when it comes to things we like about this, it performed way better than we expected in our testing. The idle consumption was a little bit higher. When you actually have it connected to the grid or you have it connected to solar, the idle consumption does come down a little bit. But if you're running this thing purely off grid, we saw about 80 watts. They advertised 60. Not a big difference, but something to know. Otherwise, everything else in our testing performed really well. EG4 has been known to have a really good surging capability in their inverters. This unit was able to run a 10,000 watt load, which is its max, and then it was able to surge on the compressor in our garage while running the 10,000 watt load, and that compressor is 200 amps or 10,000 watts to surge and start. This thing couldn't even run it. Once it came on, it would trip, obviously because it's over the inverter's rating. It's running like 11,000, almost 12,000 watts, but it's actually crazy that it was able to surge and bring it to life at full capacity. Basically just meaning you could have this thing absolutely ripping with loads and you'd still be able to surge to start an air conditioner or something like that with a really high surge capacity. We also really like that while this thing just has indicator lights, which is fine, you can set everything up, control it from the app, do everything kind of remote and just have it running. I do like there's an option to get a screen. It's the 18K screen, which is one of our favorite screens. It's only $100. It plugs in super easy and everything just works really, really nicely. We had a great experience with the screen and I know that some people don't care, but I like that it has it. It's also probably the quietest inverter that EG4 has made. even the 18K and the FlexBOSS 21 make a lot more noise than this guy does. This seems like it has a different design in terms of the fans and everything. Like, it really doesn't make much noise when it's running a full 10,000 watt load. And as similar to the 21, we really like that this is a great option for off-gridders. You don't have to pay extra money for things you don't need, like the 200 amp pass-through. It makes this a more affordable unit and a really capable one at the same time. Like, 18 kilowatts of solar input is crazy. If you're running a full 18 kilowatts into this, you're gonna have the happiest life. We also like that this pairs directly with the GridBOSS, so if you're doing it in a hybrid situation, you're gonna save money on wiring and install and all that kind of stuff. The GridBOSS is a great unit. We've made a full video on that guy. It's an awesome companion to this. Just makes everything simpler, it makes everything look cleaner, and it functions well while giving you extra features like the smart load shedding and all that kind of stuff. When it comes to what we don't like though, I talked about the surge and how I really like the insane capability of the surge, but the amount of time it will surge for is really, really low. A lot of other inverters, if it's a 10,000 watt inverter, you can run 11,000 watts for like a minute or two. Gives you enough room to be like, uh-oh, something's wrong, I need to figure out what's going on. This guy, anything over 10, even if it's like 10.1 when you're obviously at battery only, it doesn't like it. It shuts off within 10 to 15 seconds, which is fine. It's keeping itself safe, but it's just not a long surge like we see in some of these other units. Something else we don't like is we've seen a lot of content showing the rapid shutdown feature on this, which is a requirement for UL listing in California, whatever. And I always say that the button on EG4 units is really slow. If you press it, it takes a long time. But there's a lot of videos showing how if you get the aftermarket, like, shut down button that you mount externally, it goes a lot faster. And in our experience, it didn't go any faster at all. It still takes like 15, 20 seconds to shut it down. I get that it's just a requirement for UL listing and all that stuff, but in my opinion, if you're gonna have a rapid shutdown feature, it would be cool to like say, hey, the requirement is this, but we're gonna make it actually rapidly shut down because that's probably safer than letting it run for 20 minutes having a problem. I don't know. Maybe I don't know anything, but I think rapid shutdown should be a lot faster. And the last thing that we don't like is that this thing showed up with a split front corner piece, whatever you call this. Obviously that's fucking FedEx's problem because FedEx does not know how to nicely manage anybody's packages. But the point is, we've had some serious shit show up from EG4 in crates with wicked packaging. This showed up in a relatively light packaged box. It's just a regular box with some styrofoam around the outsides. And clearly it needs a little bit more in terms of the packaging, because if FedEx just doinked this and it broke the corner, now it's no longer weather rated. Like, to me, it doesn't bug me. I'd run this just fine. I'm like, whatever, it's just a tiny little split. But the reality is it's no longer weather rated. And now if we really cared, we would have to contact EG4. I'm sure they have great customer support. I'm sure they would just send us a new front panel right here. Can't be that hard. Like, you can see where it all unbolts on the back. But the point is, if there was just a little bit of a better packaging, that wouldn't have happened. This is the first product we've ever had show up with any kind of damage on it. Other than that, there's not a lot that we don't like. So good job to Jimbo and the team. At the end of the day, we are actually pretty impressed with a unit like this. It performed really well. It meets the needs of what I know a lot of you guys were saying, and even what we were thinking when the 21 came out is like, that's great, but let's get a cheaper option out there for everyone else. It's great. It performed really well. Like, there's really nothing I would say I don't like about this. I would recommend it to a friend if they asked. That speaks very highly of the product. Otherwise, let us know if there's anything specific that you guys want to see us run a test through on a unit like this that we maybe didn't mention in today's video. Like we said, we got links and coupon codes and info for this month's giveaway in the description down below. So make sure you check that out. We will catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out and stay charged.